Draft Central. What's going on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms? Welcome to another episode of New York Giants Full Access with your boy Big Pat Sports Talk. And today's subject is, if the New York Giants take a receiver in the first round, which receiver should they pick? We're going to listen to the New York Giants podcast with these guys, and they're going to come up with some I can't speak. Suggestions on who the Giants may target in the first round if they go the receiver route. So we're going to take a listen. You know how we do, and I'm going to chime in. So let's get into it.
The Super Bowl is in the books. We continue to take a look at mock drafts as the NFL draft approaches less than 3 months away. Paul Dottino, John Schmelk. Paul, let's look at all the mock drafts up on NFL.com. They're our sister site, obviously. Let's check it out. Daniel Jeremiah, he leads the way for them. Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC, Paul. 59 catches, 875 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Those numbers a little bit down because he did miss some game with an injury this year.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing when we talk about the wide receivers this year, and the Giants obviously would like to enhance that wide receiver room. In terms of the Jamar Chases of the world, you're not going to find them in this draft. So you're going to have to make some concessions. And the Giants picking at number 25 overall, they're going to be looking, if they go for a receiver, with a guy who can make some plays with his speed. That's going to be a big part of this. Ball skills as well, and certainly Addison fits that the description.
And some people think Addison could be the best player at wide receiver in this draft. Other people believe it's...
All right, so Jordan Addison is one of the first guys they mentioned, and I do believe he's one of the top receivers in this draft. There was some years, a couple of years back that we wanted Devontae Smith. This is the closest things to Devontae Smith in this draft was Jordan Addison. As you heard, his stats were a little bit down this year at USC. I think because it was a change of system from Pittsburgh, and he did get injured a little bit. He's 6 foot, 175, so he's around the same height and weight as Devontae Smith. And I think he would be a very good asset to this offense. He does bring good route running. He does have an element of speed to him, and he just has the knack of making a play. Now, is this the type of receiver that Dabo and Shane want to bring to this offense? We'll have to see, but I do believe that that's a very good option for us in the first round. If he happens to make it to the 25th pick, that will be absolutely great. I will accept that pick wholeheartedly. There's not too many cons to his game. Maybe you can say lack of production, or maybe he's a little thin to be 6 foot, only 175. But there's not too many things that you can really say about Jordan Addison. A lot of people look at his USC film and rank him down, but you got to go to that Pittsburgh year he played with Kenny Pickett. Look at that year. His route running is exceptional. He is a good guy, yards after the catch, and he just brings an element to this team that we haven't seen in a long time. So I do agree with that pick, but let's see who they're going to talk about next.
Quentin Johnston, the big wide receiver out of TCU. That's who Eric Edholm from NFL Network has going to the Giants at 25. 6'4", 215 pounds, Paul. He can run, 60 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, the thing about him, I wrote down here, very deceptive in terms of his speed. I don't know what he's going to time at this pro days.
He's
or
a
at
long
the combine.
strider, yeah.
No question. So that's why you get that whole deceptive thing going. He's going to have to get stronger against press coverage, because in the NFL, that's what they're going to try to do to him. So he will have to put on some beef and some of the route running, because let's face it, in college he was able to just beat guys going straight down the field.
If you're looking for the toolsy guy, he's your toolsy wide receiver in the first round.
All right, so they talked about Quentin Johnston here. A lot of people had him pegged as the #1 receiver going into this draft from TCU. 6'4", around 200 pounds, probably around 210, 215 pounds. Is a very long strider, so his speed is deceptive. But one thing they didn't mention as a con with Quentin Johnston is he disappeared in a lot of games. It's like he was boom or bust. It was like he was either dominating cats or he disappeared. So I really have to go into the college tape Look at his TCU tape and really get a full evaluation from him. My initial evaluation is he has all the measurables that you want in a receiver. He is 6'4", 220. He can run, but his route running leaves a little bit to be desired. But he is shifty, if that makes any sense. When he has the ball in his hands, he's way shiftier than you would think a big 6'4" receiver like that would be after catching the ball. So he does bring monster yards after the catch potential. And when he does high point the ball, he doesn't catch it over his head. He usually catches it here in his chest. So that makes him play shorter than what his initial measurables are. And he's going to have to work on that when he comes into the NFL. Would I be mad if we were able to pick Quentin Johnston at the number 25 pick? Hell no. I would gladly accept that pick because we have the potential of having the best receiver in this draft. We have the potential of having a number one receiver for years to come. So that's my evaluation of Quentin Johnston, but let's see who they say next.
Another wide receiver, much different in terms of size. Bucky Brooks had the Giants selecting Zay Flowers out of Boston College. He was at the Shrine game, measured in 5'9", 182 pounds, but had 78 catches, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, Paul. The question is, the Giants want another guy like that when they already have Wan'Dale Robinson in-house.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really tricky. We don't know if Richie James is going to come back after free agency or not, but the Giants certainly have enough of diminutive type of wide receivers in their room. Now, Flowers is a big play guy. Let's not make any mistake about it. But when I look at his stuff, I see a guy who's coming from a family of 13 siblings. You think he's competitive? This is a guy who ought to fight to get the food on the table. So you know he's going to give you everything he's got. But there is some inconsistencies in his game. And again, the overall frame doesn't necessarily fit a different style of receiver that the Giants might be looking for.
Finally, just to touch on a different position group, Paul.
So the last receiver that they're going to talk about is Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College, measured in at 5'9" and 5/8", I believe, so basically 5'10" and 182. And they have him projected as a slot receiver coming into the draft. This is a guy that you really have to study the film on, and you really have to get to know who this guy is. This guy can play outside or inside. I know that a lot of Giants fans are not going to be on this guy because of the stature, the measurables. It seems like a lot of Giants fans are obsessed with the measurables with the receivers, and the pick of Wan'Dale Robinson has soured a lot of Giants fans on picking a smaller receiver. We do already have Hodgins, and when Wan'Dale Robinson comes back, he will be our slot receiver, unless we get a bigger outside receiver and Zay Flowers is on the team somehow, some way as well. We'll see. But between Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and Quentin Johnston, I will say this. If all three of those guys were available at the number 25 pick, which I will say is highly unlikely, it may be unlikely that either one of those guys are at the 25th pick. But if I had to choose between the three, if I already have Hodgins, if I already have Wan'Dale Robinson, I might get bashed for this, but I may go with Zay Flowers over Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison. It's just something about that dude, man. That dude's an absolute animal when he's on the field, and he's 5'10", 182. He's a solid receiver, and he goes up and jumps and gets the ball with the best of them. I know he's a smaller receiver, but, man, is he dynamic. We could use him in many different ways. We could use him in a slot. We could use him on the outside. We could use him on a jet sweep. We can use him on kick return or punt return. We could use him going deep. He's a very good route runner. He knows how to attack the DB when he has inside or outside leverage. He has a very high IQ at the receiver position. Out of the three receivers, I believe him and Jordan Addison are 1A and 1B when it comes to receiver IQ and when to know how to run routes to beat the coverage. Quentin Johnston has to work on that. He wins basically because of measurables, and that can work against lower caliber teams, but we play in the NFC East. We play in probably the best division in football. We're going to need some receivers with receiver IQ. That's one of our major problems. Our receivers' IQ has not been high for the past 4 years, and that's why we don't play that well as far as getting passing yardage in our division. So If I had to choose between the three, I may choose Zay Flowers. But my reason why is he's an absolute dog. He's dynamic, and his receiving IQ is high. I'm going to be doing videos showing you what I mean by receiver IQ. What I mean is knowing when to run routes, knowing when to use certain releases, knowing how to get in and out of his routes, knowing how to dip and use your hips to burst out of a route to give your quarterback area to throw the ball to. He knows how to come back to the quarterback on curl and hitch routes. It's a lot of variables into it, man. That's why I like this scouting thing. But that was Paul Dalatino and Schmelk. Who would you guys choose if you had a choice between those three receivers in the first round? Would you choose Johnston, or would you choose Zay Flowers, or would you choose Jordan Addison? You guys let me know in the comments. But this has been New York Giants Full Access with your boy Big Pat Sports Talk. Just some receivers that the Giants may consider with that number 1 pick in this year's draft between Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and Quentin Johnston. Who would you choose? You let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. We're over 3,000. Thank you for so much support, man. But until the next episode, you know what it is, man. Peace.